3, hit it!
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to today's Caffeine for the Soul. And if you haven't yet checked it out, please do go visit michaelneill.org and click on the link for the basic course. And you'll find a free introduction to the core ideas and principles behind the Insight on Understanding and the things I share each week in this podcast. This week's episode is in some ways about being kind to yourself. Now, I don't know how you respond to that idea, but I can tell you that when people used to talk to me about being kind to yourself, I would roll my eyes, if not to their face, internally, and go, yeah, that's nice. And in fact, years ago, I used to play a New Age American. I don't know how they found me. But on a BBC television program called Satellite City. And recently I went online and found that there's a bunch of the episodes are on YouTube. And so there's an episode where my character, Randy, is trying to teach Di the barman how to be kind to himself. And in the end, it's all just too much, and Di decides that he wants to stay broken and destroyed like a real man. And I always found it a kind of a funny idea. And maybe a good idea. Yeah, I probably could be kind to myself, but it's not really relevant until last year when I was in hospital having almost died. And I had a lot of time to just be with myself and observe myself. And the number one thing that I noticed was I was so mean to myself. It shocked me. Well, what do I mean by mean to myself? I mean, I was trying to hold myself to this ridiculous standard, this ridiculous idea that I should be the perfect patient, and I shouldn't get upset about things, and I should be able to process my experience quickly and easily, and I should, and shoulding on myself just made me feel worse and worse and worse. But fortunately, I noticed. And when I noticed how mean I was being to myself, I had two ways I could have gone. I could have been mean to myself and given myself crap about being mean to myself. Or I could look beyond that and find compassion. And there's a quote that I first came across in my mentor Mavis Karn's new book, It's That Simple, A User's Guide for Human Beings. And it's a quote from the Buddha. And the quote is this: "If your compassion does not include yourself, it is incomplete." Now that landed for me. That did something for me. That had the ring of truth in a way that being kind to yourself seemed like a good idea. But behind the idea was simply that if we're going to have compassion for human beings, we're probably human beings too. And I started to notice all the places where I gave myself crap instead of having compassion for myself. And I remember thinking, well, I don't even know how to have compassion for myself. And then I realized, well, that's silly. I have compassion for the plight of others, and nobody had to teach me how to do that. So it's simply aiming that same compassion inwards. It's noticing me struggling with situations where I feel uncomfortable and having compassion for that. It's noting myself really doing my best and doing a terrible job and having compassion for myself, knowing that when I do more, when I see more, I'll do better. This is another quote from the Buddha. This was his advice on self-compassion. Hold yourself as a mother holds her beloved child. What I'll say is this one is worth taking out for a spin. It's worth living with. It's worth playing with. So rather than talk about it more, let me just encourage you this week to experiment with self-compassion. Hold yourself as a mother holds her beloved child. If you notice yourself being mean to yourself, don't be mean to yourself about being mean to yourself. Just stop as best you can. If you have learned to go inside and make requests of life, make requests of a higher power, make requests of your own mind, ask for help. Ask for fresh thinking, fresh seeing around self-compassion. And see what happens. And see how much sweeter, how much kinder life starts to feel. Have fun, learn heaps, happy exploring, and I'll talk with you soon.